think we're ready to start the meeting. Teresa, you got to start the,
Yeah, we're live on YouTube now.
okay. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and start the meeting. The first thing on the agenda is Pam Goffman.
Yes, and I did include payroll of January 4th. I went back and I could not find where we approved that at the last meeting. So January 4th payroll for all employees was $147,852.64. And January 15th payroll for all employees was $146,644.21.
Any discussion? Randy or
No.
Greg?
No. I'll make a motion to approve the payroll.
Second.
Okay, motion made and second, and we'll call for a vote. Randy?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Okay, now vote yay also. Motion carried 3-0.
Okay, the next thing I have is minutes from November 17th and November the 24th that were mailed out to you guys for review. Greg was not at these meetings, so it would be between Randy and Tom, unless you have any changes or anything.
No, they look good to me. I'll make a motion to approve them.
Okay. Greg, you want to abstain or you want to make a second?
I'll abstain.
Okay, then I'll second it. Call for a vote. Randy?
Aye.
Now vote aye. Motion made, second carried 2-0, one abstention.
That's all I have.
Okay, thanks, Pam. Steve Howe, are you on here? Steve, you're on here.
Yes, I am. I'm on here.
Okay,
I had wanted equipment rates approval for 2021. They're basically the same as they were last year. We use this when we work for somebody else and on figuring our time on different projects.
Hey, Steve, you might explain that a little bit more for Greg. This is not new for me and Tom, but it is for Greg. That how we do that. We have to do this every year. So.
Yeah, it's something that's required, and we have a rate for each piece of equipment and for our dump trucks and our pickups and graders and grade alls, everything we have. If we do any work for Forest Service or anybody like that, it gives us a rate per hour to charge if we charge for it. And if we have any FEMA events, we use this rate there also. And we use it for figuring our project when we put in culverts and stuff. We use these rates for that. It's just something we do every year.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Randy and Greg, you got a copy of the rate by email, correct?
Yes. I'll make a motion to approve the rates for the
Second.
highway department.
Okay, motion made and second. Call for a vote. Randy?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I also vote aye. Passed 3-0. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
You got anything else, Steve?
Not that I know of.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
The agenda, I'm gonna jump to the board appointment so we get that out of the way. There was a board appointment last meeting, the Hospital Association, that was tabled. Teresa, you want to fill us in on the details?
Yes, sure. You had tabled an appointment to the Hospital Association. You had an interest from Sean Reese to be reappointed, and you also had a new interest from Monica Weisling Stutzman. And we weren't real sure. We wanted to make sure that, she wasn't employed with the hospital. She had worked with the hospital at one time. She is a family nurse practitioner. And I did correspond with Ms. Stutzman, and she is not employed by the hospital. And as far as her political affiliation, it really wouldn't matter because there's 5 members on this board, and the other 4 members are 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans. She stated that she really didn't have a particular affiliation at this time. So she would qualify, in other words, if you wanted to appoint her.
Hey, Randy or Greg, you have anything?
Go ahead and motion for Monica as a nominee. No second.
Okay. Motion died for lack of second. Randy, do you have anything?
Yes, I'd like to see Sean back on there because I know they don't meet very much, but since he's been on there, he knows what's going on, and I think they're going to probably be meeting maybe more. So I make a motion for Sean to be put back on.
Okay, I'll second that, and I really had to think about this because I really want to invite new people on these boards. So you weigh that compared to somebody's been on it. I know Sean hasn't been on it very long, and he's not on any other board, so it's not the same old people. So I don't want to discourage Monica at all. I hope that she applies for other boards, but I'm gonna second the nominee for Sean Reese. So I'll go for a vote. Randy,
Aye.
Greg.
Aye.
Okay, motion made, second carried, 3-0 to reappoint Sean Reese. Thanks. The next thing on the agenda is the grant through the CARES Act for the COVID-19 response. Before we open up the bids for the grant administrator, if Aaron's on here, Aaron Emerson with PCDC has kind of been the lead on this, along with Jenny Matais with Indiana 15. So Jenny or Aaron or even Amanda with PCDC, if you want to explain a little bit about what the process is.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to. We have been working on this for about a month now. It is phase 3 of Okra COVID funding. And this time they did open it up to a wide variety of uses, but with all or most Okra money, it is determined by that low to moderate income. So we have to be careful to make sure that we are falling within that category with our purpose. We have met with City, Uptell City, City of Cannleton, Troy, and the county, and determined it would be best to apply on a county level and to apply for funding to give grants to businesses impacted by COVID, which is one of the approved uses and would fall into the LMI requirements. And Jenny can speak a little bit more to the LMI, but we have been working so far to get a list of businesses that would be interested in applying for assistance if the county were to receive the grant. We could get up to $250,000 that could be given out in amounts as large as $10,000 per business. And we are trying to go ahead and do as much pre-work and get as much to strengthen our application now as possible. I have been looking over the application, the scoring process, and we will not get as many points on the continued unemployment claims as a lot of other communities that are applying, because it goes up to like 1,000, and there are, from what I have looked at it, I believe we'll get 0 points in terms of the continued unemployment claims. However, I think we can make up for a lot of those points in making sure that our application is really, really packaged, well put together, and that we tell the story of the impact of COVID on our business community. And that's why we've been working to get testimonials from local businesses. And then we really just need to string that all together and tell the story of our community. And we do get some bonus points for being rural as well. And then some bonus points for that regional collaboration with working with our cities within the county. I can answer any questions as well.
Now, you did issue a press release yesterday, correct?
Correct. And we put that out, and then we put a link to a brief survey that businesses could take to add their name to the list. And so far we have 7 responses there, and we've already talked to multiple businesses. So I would say it's safe to say we probably have at least 15 to 20 on the list of businesses that say, yes, I would be interested.
Hey, the question I have, and maybe Jenny or you can, the Indiana 15 is putting together their services for the application or no charge, but somebody to administer the grant, then that will incur with a charge for it. Now, will that charge come out of the grant money, or how does that work?
It can be done either way, Tom. If you choose to have it taken out of the grant funding that is received, the total allocation then for businesses will just be reduced. It can also be paid as a local match. There is no local match requirement. However, you do get points if you utilize a local match, and paying for the services of grant administrator can count as your local match.
Okay.
And I know we haven't identified any funds for a local match or anything like that, but Jenny, I was looking at the scoring guidelines last night, and I did see that that was a potential way to get some additional points. So I didn't know if it would, down the line, we could potentially approach Shergan's Foundation or something like that to try and find a little bit of money to help with the local match.
Well, other than that, for the county, we would have to, of course, go to the council for any funding. So,
Hey, Tom or Aaron, what, do you have any idea how much would that be? Or is that based on the grant, how much we get?
You can, if you take the grant administration services out of the grant, it's capped at 2.5%, which would be $6,250.
Okay.
and that wouldn't be a huge amount, off of the awarded amount if we couldn't find other funding, whether it be private or public funds.
But don't you need to know that before you apply for it, if you're going to submit that to get points, though, if you're going to fund it outside of the grant?
If it can, it does need to be in before application. At the time of proposal, it is not necessary. They'd like to have an idea of where it's coming from, but it does have to be nailed down by the time of application, and that's at the end of February.
And I was going to cover that too. I had that pulled up. I guess it is a little bit complicated. This is a 2-part process. So the beginning is just the proposal where you submit. Jenny, please correct me or speak. It's just making sure that we are along the lines of what they are thinking and will meet a national objective.
Yeah.
And that is due January 29th. And then the actual full application is due February
26th.
26th.
Yes. The big difference between these type of projects and traditional OKRA funding is that OKRA realizes that this is a very quick turnaround, and this is hoping to have a quick impact. So these projects, when they go to the proposal stage, unlike traditional Okra projects, are as well developed. And so, they do like to see some pre-work, which Erin has done a fantastic job of pulling her team together and getting that pre-work done. But it does not need to be as in-depth as other proposals. But between that proposal stage and the final application stage is where we will hold a public hearing and shore up all those additional details that Okra will require.
So we have some time before
Well,
we
then
have to outline, get a lot of that cemented, but we need to begin thinking about if we're going to try to do a local match, if we're going to, what we are putting in our particular proposal.
So then we have time for you to seek private funding, and if that doesn't happen, then we can see what we can find in the county funding.
Correct.
Right. And it could also even be funding by the cities. We did have meetings this morning with Jenny and Aaron and myself and the mayors of the cities, and Linda Crawford with Troy on what we thought we'd be better off getting this, whether it be collective as a county application or individual city applications. And we felt like that since it's so competitive, that we stood a better chance collectively as a county. So we may reach out to the cities too on seeing where we can
Yes, and
come up with a match.
And we have been working really closely with them to make sure that we are thinking of the businesses that have been really impacted and not leaving anyone out.
And Teresa, just to kind of shore up things on our end, there was only one proposal received for grant administration. Am I correct?
That's correct. Tom
Okay.
has that to open.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be the next, I'll plan on doing that right after this.
Okay.
Is the official opening of the grant proposals, the
Perfect.
proposals, the grant administration. Mhm. So Randy or Greg, do you have anything to discuss or questions?
I just appreciate work Aaron's doing on this and the PCDC. This is the kind of stuff that I love seeing those guys do. I mean, it makes a big difference in the community. So gotta give kudos there for that. Appreciate it. Thanks, Aaron. And Jenny, nice meeting you. First time
Nice to meet you.
you look like you're on top of the ball, and I think that as well. So
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
The only thing I would add, I would like to see us try to get the local match. I really think that would put us a few extra points, and that goes a long ways, I think, when you're looking at grants, when you put some skin in the game
I
as a
agree.
community. So,
and
As Aaron said earlier, it's a great thing for the county that the continued unemployment claims are low, because that shows that the county is recovering somewhat from COVID. I know numbers were high across the state, back in early spring and summer, but the downside is that's not a great thing for this grant. But I think we'll take the folks working any day of the week over a few points on a grant. So
Yeah.
6250 may be a small amount, but if you think about it, I think we're thinking about 10 grand per business.
Yeah.
It's a business that we can or cannot help, right?
Yeah.
That's what that amounts to. So like you said, Randy, it'd be great if we could get that taken care of so that we got the grant out.
Absolutely. And I like I said, I've been looking over the scoring guidelines, and it is, they have it outlined, you get this many points if you have this many continued unemployment claims. And some of it is very, we're not going to be able to have any impact on, but the part where it's a little bit more subjective and we can tell the story of our community, I think is where we can make sure we are getting all the points possible.
Now, there was another community that opted, I don't know how much But anyway, this limited to $10,000 per business and limited to 25 businesses, but simply because of the math, there was another community that went beyond the 25 and they just reduced the amount so they could cover. I mean, so that's an option
Mhm.
too.
Yes.
Yeah, and we can also get additional points if we give preference to minority or women-owned businesses or veteran-owned businesses. And I think that that's something we definitely should look at as well. As we move forward with the proposal, I want to make sure we're looking at every area and kind of crafting our proposal to get the maximum amount of points possible.
Randy or Bill, you got any, or Greg, you got anything else?
No, appreciate it.
Okay.
No, I'm good.
I'll move
Thank you.
on. Yeah, I'll move on to the opening, the official opening of the bids. As Jenny alluded to a little bit, we only had one bid package proposed. We did get 2 letters of response and they basically said that they were not interested. They appreciated the offer, but not interested in putting in a bid at this time. One was by River Hills Economic Development District. The other one was from Southern Indiana Development Commission out of Lagodi. So we did receive some responses, but no other interest. The only interest was proposal was put in by the Indiana 15 Regional Plan Commission. And the fees are environmental review is $200 and the grant management administration $6,050 for a total administration fee of $6,250. So with that said, any discussion with Greg or Randy?
Nope.
We entertain a motion if we don't have any more discussion.
Motion to accept the bid?
I'll second that.
Okay, motion made and second. Go for a vote. Randy?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. Okay, and I vote aye also. So motion made, second, carried 3-0 to accept the bid from Indiana 15 Regional Planning Commission. So Jenny, you're officially on the hook.
Yay, thank you very much. It's our pleasure to work with Perry County, and I'm excited to get this process completely underway. There are some things I will be sending to you, Tom, via Teresa for signature, and I will get those out later today.
Okay,
Yep,
sounds good.
I have a question too, Jenny and
Yes, ma'am.
Tom. Do we need to set a public hearing date? Because it says that we need to have one
Yes.
between the proposal and the application.
Yes, ma'am. We actually, I've kind of got that all mapped out. Let me pull up that real quick. The public hearing, I had it scheduled to coincide with one of your meetings, and we are looking at your February 16th meeting, if that works for you all.
Well, that's, as a matter of fact, Teresa and I were talking about it earlier and we was looking at that ourselves. So that sounds like a good, that's a February 16th is 8 o'clock in the morning meeting. And we can open that up and start an additional, it will have to be a public Zoom meeting. So we'll have to close this meeting and then open up another meeting for that. So that sounds good. And we could probably safely say 9 a.m.
Okay.
our local time. Do you think so, Teresa? Or
9 o'clock, 9 a.m. public hearing.
yeah, does that work for you, Aaron and Jenny?
Yes, I will coordinate then and submit that to the paper for publication and get that out there in plenty of time for the Okra deadline.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you all again.
Thank you. I know Amanda, you were on here. Amanda, you were on here too. Do you have anything to add? We kind of skipped over Amanda Lasher. No, I'm sorry. Amanda. Crockett.
Amanda Crockett. Her microphone may not be working. She texted me and said she was having some issues, but she's been helping us get the word out to local businesses. She's been sending emails, touching base personally, just making sure that we aren't letting anybody slip through the cracks.
Okay. Well, hopefully we'll get some businesses that step up, and we had a few of them that has contacted me and Aaron and others. So hopefully we'll get others that need help to step forward and ask for it, because we'll try to provide it.
I think we're going to have a really good story to tell. We've got some testimonials from some businesses that have a long history in our community, and I think we have some good information.
Sounds good. Thank you, Aaron.
Thanks.
I think it's the birthday of a future leader, and I think she might be on the call there too. Right here.
That might be why she's sitting on my lap. It's Rowan's birthday. She's
Already
Happy
get started on
birthday.
the roll.
Happy birthday.
14 before, but
Happy birthday.
The joys of having them on Zoom, right? You get to do special stuff like that.
exactly. Exactly.
Well, we'll move on to the next thing on the agenda, and that's miscellaneous. And under miscellaneous, I have a resolution that I believe Greg and Randy have received by email on pay for employees that are isolated because of COVID-19. The CARES Act required that up until December 30th or 31st, any employees that were off work due to COVID related, whether they isolated or quarantined, that the employer had to pay the employee up to 80 hours of compensation and not from their other PTO, and not to count against them. And that applied to any employer under 500 employees. Unfortunately, we are under 500 employees, and it did apply to us, and we did comply to that up until December 30th. So after December 30th, that mandate went away. So to continue that on, we come up with a resolution that will be fair to the employees and not set us up for undue burden on the county. And basically what it is that we will pay the employees up to 80 hours if they're isolated due to COVID-19. And isolated versus quarantined. Quarantine is if you've had potential exposure and you're quarantined for 14 days, which by the health department and the CDC guidelines is that you stay a safe distance from other people and to keep from contamination in case you have been exposed. The isolated is a 10-day isolation at current time that you are actually COVID-19 positive. So that's what this is going to reflect. Now you can only test, if you test positive, you can't test again for 90 days because according to CDC guidelines, you're you should be immune to the virus for up to 90 days, 90 to 120 days. That's a moving target of the virus. So the proposal is, resolution is to pay the employees up to 80 hours if they are isolated by the health department. And within the isolation period. I'll read the resolution. It says, whereas the COVID-19 pandemic continues to have impact upon employees of Perry County, and whereas certain employees have contracted the COVID-19 virus or placed into isolation by the Perry County Health Department, thereby making it impossible for employees to perform his or her work functions. And whereas Perry County wishes to provide certain benefits to those employees who are isolated by Perry County Health Department. Be it now, therefore, resolved by the Board of Commissioners of Perry County follows. This resolution shall apply to any employee of Perry County who is placed into isolation by the Perry County Health Department due to COVID-19 and who is therefore unable to fulfill his or her duties as an employee. Quote, isolated employee. An isolated employee shall be entitled to receive up to a maximum of 80 hours of paid time off due to being isolated. The paid time off shall begin with the first regular day of work for the isolated employee after said employee is placed in isolation by the Perry County Health Department, and shall continue for each regular workday during which the isolated employee remains in isolation. The isolated employee's supervisor shall immediately notify the Perry County Auditor that the affected employee has been placed in isolation, as well as the date when the isolated employee has been released from isolation. And the last part is important, that that our auditors, which is the HR department of the county, is able to track this and to make sure that it's all administered very fair. So with that said, Randy or Greg, do you have anything to add?
Only thing I would add, we would more or less backdate that to the first of the year in case we had an employee that fell underneath this, say January 2nd or 3rd, right, Tom?
Well, yeah. Item 4, which I forgot to read, says the resolution shall take effect as of January 1st, 2021. So I
Yes.
apologize, I didn't read it, but that is part of the resolution.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. That's really all I had, Tom. So thanks.
Okay.
Good with
Greg?
it.
What was that, Greg?
I'm good with it.
Okay. Well, I don't have any other comments. I don't think this will cause any heartburn for the auditor's office. Do you, Pam? We good with it?
No, no, I don't. And I don't know if the other two, we were having some discussions earlier through email about quarantined employees. And I know Chris had come up with some ideals on that. I plan on trying to get that revised with our FMLA policy to what Chris had, and kind of a outline of how Tasha and I have trying to, so employees can mark this on their time cards. And I will get this out to you all, that we will send that out the same time we send this isolated out, and have you all approve it before we send it out.
Yes, and with that said, all of the departments are doing a very good job of finding ways to keep quarantined employees productive, including the highway department, which sometimes that's a challenge, and they're doing such things as they come into their piece of equipment and don't have any contact with any of the employees, what job they're performing. Isolation is a little more severe, and so that was too much to expect the supervisors to be able to come with something that the health department was comfortable with working the person if they're isolated and actually COVID positive. So like I said, with that said, I'll entertain a motion to accept this resolution.
So motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion made, second, vote. Randy?
Aye.
Greg?
Aye.
Motion made, second carried, 3-0. All right. That, unless Randy or Greg, you have anything, we're going to move on to the next meeting, which is the Board of Finance reorganization, which we do every year.
I think
Well,
you guys have to close this meeting. You have to recess this meeting before you open up the next one. So you'll need a vote
Right.
to
The
recess
next-
this meeting.
Our next commissioners meeting is scheduled, Teresa?
It'll be Monday, February 1st at 6 PM. And that'll
Yes.
be the same format.
Yes, and at that time, we'll revisit the closure of the courthouse to the public. That's what we, probably going to be one of the big things on that. All right. Then our next meeting to be opened up is the Board of Finance. Amanda Lasher, are you on here?
Yes.
Go ahead, Amanda.
Okay, sorry. So the first thing we have to do, like last year, is decide by the board to vote as the president of the Board of Finance.
Okay, so we, explain a little, the Board of Finance is the treasurer and the 3 commissioners, is that correct? That who makes up that board?
I'm looking at, yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
You
So
vote
now we
the-
need to, with that said, then we need to elect a president, which historically or traditionally has always been the treasurer, correct?
I believe last year, Tom, you was the president and I was the treasurer.
Okay, gotcha.
Tom, I think it's usually the president of the commissioners who actually kind of takes over that. So I'll make a motion for Tom Hauser to be president of the finance.
Second.
Okay, motion made, second, and a vote, Randy?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion made, second carried, 3-0. Now the treasurer then, is that the only 2 positions, Amanda, treasurer and president? Yes,
That is
Yes.
correct.
yeah, okay, so I'll entertain a motion to nominate a treasurer for that.
I make a motion for Amanda to be treasurer.
Second.
Motion made and second, vote, Randy?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion made, second carried, 3-0. The Amanda Lasher is the treasurer of the Board of Finance. Okay, is there anything else you need to report, Amanda, on this?
Just gonna ask you guys, you had time to review what I emailed you guys. If you had any questions, the balances of the banks.
Thank you for sending that. I appreciate it. Some of it's pretty interesting. I think I got some questions around interest rate, like German American Bank. They had pretty good interest rate pre-pandemic compared to the other ones. So
Right, and also sent you guys the interest earnings breakdown that I send over to the auditor's office, also to Susan.
the only other item that I got is very minor, but it's something that next time we open it up, we probably should look at. The policy for the Board of Finance. On page 3, it's got a typo, 2 typos. Basically, it says disclose, but it's got a space, so it says disclose.
Okay. I just forwarded on what was done previously, so.
Oh, no, that wasn't, nothing against that. It's just, when I read through it, I thought, oh, that's just something to catch to put in there so that we fix it next time. So, but
Okay, I'll make a note of that. Thanks, Greg.
other than that, it looks good. Appreciate the info too, by the way.
Amanda, can you send me a copy of that so I have all that for the minutes?
Yep, sorry.
Okay.
All right, if you don't have anything else, I guess we probably need to close this meeting. You want to entertain a motion to close the Board of Finance meeting.
I'll make that motion, Tom.
Okay,
Second.
okay, motion made. Vote, I get Randy
Aye.
Aye.
and Amanda. Aye from Amanda to close the meeting. Yeah, okay. All right, motion made, second carried, 4-0 to close the meeting. Okay, thanks, everyone.